Hello everyone, welcome to this video in which I'm reacting to a conversation I had with Gabriel from the Just a Dude Practicing channel. He has a channel in which he practices every day for 2 hours and he films it unedited and uploads it to YouTube. And he's been practicing my books or my materials exclusively for the past 2 months. And I always react to his progress reports, his monthly progress reports. But I also thought, you know what, I should have a conversation with him directly because I'm just interested to hear more about his history with learning how to play jazz or gypsy jazz, and would also give him the opportunity to ask me some questions directly, even though he can already do that in my Discord, but this is from person to person, and it's more direct. So that conversation is uploaded on his channel, the complete conversation. So I was thinking, you know what, I'm not going to do the same thing and have this a double video. So I edited the video to a shorter format, about 15 minutes instead of 2 hours. And I'm gonna react to that, give some of my thoughts when I feel like I could have said more, and upload that to YouTube. Now, I edited this video last week. I wanted to have some distance between me editing the shortened video and my reaction, because otherwise I would just know too much what is in the video and my reaction wouldn't be spontaneous. So now I kind of forgot what we talked about. Let's record a reaction video and see where it goes. Here we go. I've watched all your recaps or your progress reports with much interest. It's the first time that somebody does this. I've met, of course, many people during the years who've watched my content or went to my Patreon or bought a book. But I've never seen this like somebody actually working on that stuff live. It's very interesting to see. And then doing that every day and then sharing their thoughts. It's very interesting to see, and it's also it makes me think about what could be better about my methodology or how I progressed myself, you know?
Yeah, I'm surprised no one else has stuff like this. I mean, people film all sorts of crazy stuff, and they've been doing, filming themselves for 24 hours and doing vlogs.
True,
and
yeah.
I looked around for people to watch them practice just for motivation, right? Because you only see everyone's highlights, and it can be pretty horrible to go and sit there with your own instrument. And I had this idea years ago, and finally, just 6 months ago,
it takes a lot of work to do it. First of all, you have to do it if you commit to that, right? You have to do that every day, or at least very regularly. If you're not a jazz musician or another improvising musician like a bluegrass musician, it's very hard to understand what is happening when somebody is practicing that. Yeah. It seems like they're stopping all the time, making silly mistakes, playing the same thing 100 times, and there seems to be no coherent thing happening. So I understand that not a lot of people want to broadcast that.
I'll tell you, for the first time,
And to add to that, I do that sometimes in my Discord for the book owners. I do a private streams. I have a private stream channel and I react to questions asked or just discussions that are happening. And sometimes I do a live practice session and I can feel I wouldn't say annoyance of having a camera, but more the inhibitions that occur while you are stumbling on a certain passage or just making a lot of mistakes or having to go back all the time. It feels like, okay, if people are watching this, they will be shocked to see that practicing involves this much, mistakes. Of course, that's silly to think that because everybody goes through that process, at least when you're practicing the correct way, because you should be working on stuff that you find difficult. But it's hard to do it with the camera. So I'm sure that Gabriel here was feeling that more in the beginning than now, because he's done that more than 100 times. So you get used to it. But I haven't done it that much, maybe 5-6 times. I'll get used to it eventually.
Pretty quickly, I got used to just letting go and just practicing. Right. I'm still very aware of the camera, but for the first time, I think it was yesterday, I did something that I really didn't want to show. Okay. And I was like, man, it's rhythm. It's rhythm practice.
Right. Yeah.
Because I don't know, it's one thing to it's expected that you'll sit there and struggle with phrases. I'm now adopting the correct terminology.
No, you can say licks, but it's
But so I played rhythm in a gypsy jazz band a long time ago, probably like 6-7 years ago. And I don't think I ever did it correctly. But so I knew, it's been on my list of things to get to for a long time. And
so a little clarification there about correct rhythm. There's no such thing as one type of correct rhythm. There is, though, incorrect rhythm. And if you want to boil it down to a simple thing, it's correct rhythm is supportive of the solo player, and incorrect rhythm is not supportive. It's distracting or interfering with the solo player. Now, this could also mean a difference per solo player, because some solo players really enjoy very busy rhythm. Most people don't, though. And they are maybe not comfortable with a very independent rhythm, where you just try to keep a rhythm and not be loud. They want you to react to them all the time. That is very rare, though, right? So in a general sense, you're best off playing not too loud, having a steady tempo, and not playing too many long chords. You want to play short chords most of the time. So this is an art stop. It's not the best for rhythm, but if I would do it in an art stop and I play a song like There Will Never Be Another You, then this would be most of the time correct. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Instead of you see, there's so much happening here, most of it not nice, but it's just messy, and it just takes attention away from the solo player, and it should be, in the first place, about the solo player. Okay, let's continue.
Yeah, I'm like, I should really work on this, but I'm like, it's gonna suck so bad, and it does. Okay. Like I watched myself yesterday, and then I kept watching, and I was like, this is really bad. like maybe I should cut this out. But yeah, no, that's all.
But if it's bad, I mean, if you only broadcast things that are good, of course, then
you're not practicing anything. There you go. Right.
But still, even I have practiced a couple of times live in a stream. The thing is, though, a lot of my videos, I am kind of practicing in the sense that I'm demonstrating a concept that is also new to me. Right?
It must be.
And sometimes,
put out so much stuff.
And then I'm struggling with it myself, of course, because okay, now I'll play 2 choruses and will only play the -6, something like that.
Yeah,
that is very difficult, because then I have to play that, but I also cannot play anything else, and that's not natural for me. So then often I make mistakes or something suffering. So when people meet me live, I usually play much better than they think I play, because then I don't have to demonstrate this one concept that I'm only practice that week for that video, So it's like exposing yourself.
Yeah, that's not exaggeration. I used to be very annoyed by that, but now I get used to it. But that happened to me so many times. I am in a jam session or a gig, and then I play with some new people, and then they are flabbergasted with how I play. And I notice it immediately, and then usually they say like, "Oh, I had no idea you were this good." Right? Good is relative, of course, but compared to their initial idea. And I was in the beginning like, "Why is that? Why did you think I couldn't do this thing or something?" I said, no, but I saw some clips on YouTube, and then I started thinking about it. It's like, okay, yeah, now I understand why. It's because during a gig or jam, I can do whatever I want, and then usually I do stuff, or always I do stuff that just is comfortable, that I like playing, that pops into my head. It's stuff that I can play really well. But for video, especially when I was making, at one point I was making 4 videos a week, but let's say 1 or 2 videos a week even, I had to show something new. It was also new to me, and of course I'd be struggling with that. That's just a effect of being a guitar YouTuber. I guess that's why there's lots of guitar teachers that actually don't play a lot in videos. I hear that a lot, like, you play a lot more. But one of the reasons probably could be they're showing something new and they're struggling with it, and they don't want to show that part of themselves. I got used to it now, but sometimes it's not easy. That way, could be you just practicing or me just trying to demonstrate something. It gives a very weird picture of what you are capable. It could be both ways, right? It could be
like you said, I'm practicing this solo and I can play it now. And people see it like, oh, this guy can really improvise great solos.
Yeah. I'm like, hold on, wait a minute. Go check out the last 3.
I'm referring here to a previous video, which I reacted to, where he said, like, okay, I got some gig offers based on some solos I played in YouTube Shorts, but they were not improvised solos. They were etudes from Book 2 that he performed really well. And people saw that and they were like, oh, this guy is a good solo player. Let's get him some gigs. And then he said, no, wait, those were not improvised solos.
3 months where I was,
So, but for me, it's the other way around. Yeah. For me, it's exactly the other way around. But I applaud you for doing it because, like you said, it's a very good way to also, what's the word? Accountability, right.
Yeah.
Accountability.
It's a great accountability system.
Yeah.
Like, it's weird because it doesn't really matter. Like, there aren't that many. Okay, first of all, no one's watching. Like, the average watch time on each video is like normally less than a minute, which is totally fine. Like, that wasn't the point. But like for myself, like if I look at my page and there's like a day that I skipped, I can see, and it bothers me. Like, I want this wall of consistency. So it's a very great accountability system. Yeah. So you've mentioned, when you reviewed my last progress report, you mentioned that 2 hours is not that long. I am so aware that like I consider 2 hours.
2 hours a day practice, right? He practices 2 hours a day, and then I said like, okay, that's okay. It's good compared to a lot of people, but it is not that long if you take it into the context of the top players.
It's the bare minimum. Like, there are comments. One of the nicest things about the channel is the comments.
Right.
And a lot of people are like, I can't believe you do 2 hours, and I just can't help but think, no, I'm only doing 2 hours. Like, this is barely enough. Like, as is, it's going to take me forever. So I know you did 6 to 8 hours. Apparently, I'm at my limit with 2 hours because my fingers got a little stiff. But yeah.
Well, here's the thing.
Amazing to hear.
Most people practice much less than 2 hours. Most people, let's say more than 90% of the people that I meet that play an instrument practice much less than 2 hours. Right. So you're already in the top 5%. But
still,
the thing is,
they're not playing gypsy jazz, man. Like, if you want to play gypsy jazz.
Yeah, but also those people. But that's why there are so many people that really play pretty badly. Right. They've been playing for decades.
Right.
And I meet them all the time at in the workshops. These people, they're very enthusiastic. They have a nice guitar.
Yeah.
They really love this music. They travel to the festivals, and then they start playing, and it sounds pretty bad. Like, everything about it is bad, right? The sound, the technique, the timing, mostly the timing, but also the vocabulary, the knowledge of the tunes. Mm-hmm. But they love it. They love it. And then they tell me, I've been playing for 40 years.
Right.
And then I always ask them, like, so how long do you practice every day? And they say, well, I try to practice 3 times a week. And here's the thing. It doesn't matter if you do it for 40 years, 3 times a week. You're probably never going to get past this line where it goes from amateur to pretty good.
Right.
And here I want to say is some people have replied to me when I told them, like, okay, you've been practicing for a very long time. I don't think it's enough hours. I said, yeah, but the problem is also I don't have good materials. With only the last 10 years, the materials are there, right? I found your stuff. I found Jacob Hotter. I found Robin Nolan. I found Joseph Stefan. Lots of stuff online that you can get now that is good material to start to study gypsy jazz, or just jazz is also lots of stuff. So it wasn't there when I started. And yes, there's certainly a lot of truth in that statement, and there's certainly a good reason there of why this person didn't progress to the level that they wanted. But I have to say here that even without the materials, if you start practicing, and I mean really practicing, not just playing random stuff, like practicing, having a plan, even if the plan is not 100% foolproof, but you start practicing and you do 6 hours a day or even 4 hours a day, you will come to a point where you think, okay, I need more materials, and it will force you to seek them out. So you'll find experts, you do a phone call back then maybe with someone, you travel to a festival, you come into contact, and these people will be more receptive of sharing with you their knowledge when they see you are that serious. That's why there are so many good players in history. They didn't all have access to the materials there are now, but they were just practicing like crazy people. Can I say that? Well, they were practicing like madmen and mad women. And if you do that, you will come into contact with other people like that and with experts in your style. It doesn't even have to be music, it could be anything. So you don't really need the materials that are there now to become good. Yes, it makes it easier, it probably will go faster, but practicing many hours is probably the first step, no matter in which time you live and which materials are there. And that line is so hard to pass. I think you'll get there with 2 hours a day. But then there's this other line, which goes from pretty good to professional. That line can only be crossed, in my opinion, in my experience, let's say in my experience, by practicing another 4 hours, a day.
Look, believe me, I am very aware of it. Like, I'm very aware. Like, I'm not patting myself on the back for 2 hours a day at all. So I met Antoine Boyer. Is that it? Boyer. He was here in South Korea. He knows some of the guys here, and I asked him how much do you practice a day? And he said 8 hours. And I wasn't practicing at all at that point. I was just kind of, and I heard that. And I was walking home and I thought to myself, I'm not going to put in 8 hours a day. And I didn't touch my guitar for a year and a half after that.
Yeah.
I was like, if I want any hope of getting better, I'm going to have to, maybe not 8 hours, but a significant amount of time, not willing to do it at that point. So I'm like, I guess what's the point? And so here I am.
But 8 hours is misleading. And also when I say it, it's a little bit misleading because it sounds like, it's 2 o'clock or so, like it's 12 o'clock. Let's start the timer, like you do it, right? And so, okay. I haven't been wearing a watch in many, many years. I still do this sign. It's like, it's normal for people to do that. I see it all the time, but it doesn't mean anything. I should get my phone and say, oh, it's 12 o'clock. It's 6 o'clock. I've done 6 hours, but that's not how it goes. In fact, I estimate that some days I practice much more than that because I just practice all day.
Right.
I get up. Before I do anything, I have guitars everywhere. Like in this room already.
That's cool.
1, 2, 3, 4. I have 5 guitars. Downstairs, I have another 3 guitars. There's guitars everywhere. So true. The first thing I do when I get up is actually, because I'm thinking about music also all the time.
Yeah.
Could be for a gig, but could also for my channel, could be for a new book, could be for anything. So I'm thinking, I need to, and then I get my guitar and I start playing. I always say, let's do this for 10 minutes. Then I'm doing it for 2 hours already. Bam, 2 hours is gone. Right? I didn't even notice it. It's like, it's time for coffee. Then I drink some coffee. Let's go back to this thing. So it's not a plan like I'm going to practice 6 hours. Right. It's just I want to do all of this stuff, and it just takes me. It could be 10 hours. It could be much more, especially when you practice jazz or any music that you have to figure out stuff yourself. Yeah. You need to be a little bit obsessed. Especially when you don't have a teacher. So when you're young, you have a teacher, then maybe that person makes you practice. Could be not nice, but definitely works. But that could happen that you get fed up with the whole music thing. But if you by yourself, and most jazz musicians, especially gypsy jazz musicians, they are by themselves for the process. You need to become obsessed. And if you are obsessed, these hours, they mean nothing. For instance, when I was an arranger, that was the main thing I did. I was arranging for large ensembles, also small ensembles. The amount of work that goes into one arrangement, where you have to write every note down, right? Every dynamic in the score. Some instruments read in different keys and stuff. A lot of work. Conductor score you have to lay out all the parts. It's so much work to produce even like 10 seconds of music. If you think about the amount of hours it takes to the amount of music you get, it's kind of insane that people would even do that. But you need to be obsessed with it. You need to want to do it. You need to want to, as an arranger, you need to want to hear what is in your head. And I'm in that mode again because I have a new group. You'll hear more about it somewhere in August, and I have to I have to adapt many older arrangements, but I also have to write some new, and I just finished one, which is 3 minutes 40 seconds, something like that. It's a beautiful piece of music. I had no initial arrangement to start. I started from zero. It took me, if you would ask me how long did it take you, I could say, it took me 3 days. Oh, I said, that's not long. No, but it took me 3 days of writing from the morning until the evening. Just writing all the time, working on tiny details, improving it in parts. And the arrangement is finished now. But I could only do it because I was super motivated to do it. That's why I haven't arranged for many years, because I wasn't motivated. I was motivated to practice guitar. I was so motivated that I did the 6 to 8 hours without even breaking a sweat, so to say. You have to just really love it.
Yeah.
And want to figure it out, you know?
I keep considering like kind of increasing my practice time, because I have some other things and other similar projects, and like, time commitment wise. But yeah, I just burn out after 2 hours, and now I'm on this whole thing where I want to record every moment, which, may end up being limiting. For now, I'm also trying to take it slow, because I know that this is it's still a very new habit. And every time I'm on a roll with something and I try to add a bunch of bells and whistles to it, it all falls apart. So I'm like, okay, 2 hours, and even that's a struggle, right? Because I didn't grow up, playing 40.
No, I understand it completely.
Which is awesome, but yeah.
I have some questions for you. I guess you also have questions for me.
Yeah.
Right. So, also because maybe people are watching, of course, a video on YouTube later, and they might not know you. They might not have seen the previous video in which I reacted to you.
Okay.
So, I wanted to ask you some questions about you and Gypsy jazz or jazz or guitar. So, what is your history with playing Gypsy jazz guitar?
So, I played. I want to say this in air quotes. I played violin in middle school and high school. Did not practice. I was like, there's not a chair lower than second violin, but there should be. Yeah, so I just kind of did it to do it. At some point, I think it's the same with everyone. At some point, I saw Sweet and Low Down.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Right, the Woody Allen movie. And I was like, it just hit me. I was like, this is amazing. I need to learn how to play guitar. And then I spent the next, 15 years not knowing how to learn Gypsy jazz. So I just kind of had a guitar sometimes. I would play whatever, learn little snippets here and there. Had absolutely no idea what I was doing. Didn't know how. The problem is I didn't know how to learn, and I didn't know to go and find a teacher. Like, these things weren't obvious at that point for some reason. They're kind of obvious now, but I didn't know how to learn, and no one was really offering to point me in the right direction. Yeah, and then I would say it was probably 7-8 years ago. There's a guy living here, this New Zealand guy who had a band. He's a guitarist, and they dissolved, and he took me under his wing and showed me how to play rhythm. And so we had a little group for a while. And yeah, I always wanted to do this. I wanted to do the soloing. Like, he's a great soloist. He's moved back to New Zealand since. But I would try, it wouldn't work, and I didn't understand.
But how did you try? What did you try?
Little arpeggios online, or he would show me something, and I didn't know what swing eighth notes were. The only thing I did learn is I got my hands on a copy of Gypsy Picking, Michael Horowitz.
Right. Yeah.
And I went through that pretty faithfully. So I don't know anything else. I don't know how my other technique is, but I feel very comfortable with Gypsy Picking.
No, that looks good. That sounds and looks very good. I have never read the book, to be honest.
Okay.
But of course, it's a classic. But I'm always surprised when people say that, because I've seen people that have so much tension and pain, but you have developed great technique through it.
But are they coming from a different musical background? Because I had no idea how to pick. If I had like another technique, or I can't think of any, whatever the other ones are, I could see myself getting confused or developing bad habits. But I was like, kind of.
Yeah, that's just like me. When I started playing guitar, I immediately started with Gypsy jazz. At the time, I was working with Stochelo Rosenberg as a violin player. So when I started playing guitar, my goal was to just imitate Stochelo. That's how I started out, and I imitated his technique. And my right hand has changed a little in the picking patterns, but mostly the movements are more or less the same. Of course, I have a different hand, different arm, so it's a little bit different, but the philosophy behind the movement is the same. So probably if you start with that and you don't have any other habits like upsweeping or economy picking or alternate picking, then maybe it's easier to learn. Yeah, the adapting it can be very hard. I've seen that countless times in workshops and just people asking me for advice.
Winging it the whole time. Finally found this guide on the way. So I was like, fine, let's just believe in this. And I didn't get through the whole book, but I got through the important exercises. So I did that. Was a rhythm guitarist. And then just kind of, again, always thought soloing would be cool. Didn't know how to do it. I didn't understand. It took hours and hours and hours. And then quit guitar for a bunch of times. Came back to it. 6 months ago, I was like, you know what? I'm either going to take this seriously now or it's just never going to happen. So I bounced around to a couple of different courses, found your stuff, and was like, immediately I knew. Although I didn't know.
How did you find it? On YouTube, or how did you find it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, your stuff has reach, man. You know, there's no one who's interested in this music who doesn't know your channel.
That is true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, man. And so I saw.
Funny story about that is last year in Fontainebleau. So every year I go to Fontainebleau, I get more known because of my methodologies, and lots of people there that they've discovered Gypsy Jazz even through my videos, or it's the first time they jam, right? And so they see me and they say, "Hey, man, I bought your book and stuff." And I remember one jam, everybody knew I was, and then one guy said, "Okay, you all know each other?" I said, "No, but of course that's Christiaan." I said, "Oh, sorry." I said, "I don't know who you are." And everybody was surprised. Even I was surprised because I know it doesn't happen a lot with other Gypsy Jazz musicians. Like outside of Gypsy Jazz, of course, nobody knows who I am. But inside Gypsy Jazz, most people know. And then it was one guy who was playing extremely loud rhythm and very busy. So it's just funny, and everybody noticed that, and it was kind of a fun thing. So at one point, somebody said to him, "Man, you should watch that video about the Christiaan just released about jamming. It's a great one." And a kind of tongue-in-cheek, fun moment. I don't know, it just came to mind. Let's continue with the video.
Your stuff, had no idea what was going to be in the books. I watched the explanations, and I was like, I don't know, but I like what he's saying. I like his whole, you don't need to bog yourself down. Yeah, I know. You did not pay me to say this, but I have nothing but praise for your materials. Got the books.
Thanks.
I just like the theory. Your philosophy behind it is to just play phrases that are nice. Learn a whole bunch. It's like vocabulary, and that just resonated with me. Because the other stuff I looked at, the other advice was either horrible, like play what you feel, which is just, unless you already know.
Play what you hear.
Stuff,
play what you hear.
So the worst advice I ever got was when I first started.
We don't go into that anymore. But the play what you hear thing, the reason I say it is because there's so many videos of, and also like threads on Reddit and forums, people asking for help. Like, listen, I want to play jazz. I come from blues or something, and I don't know how to improvise. I want to play Autumn Leaves or any tune. I don't know what to do after like playing in the main key. I want to play all those chords. What do I do? And then invariably, there's always one person, or often multiple persons, say, you have to sing the lines in your head and then learn all notes on the guitar neck, and then you can play what you hear. And this, I have always found, even when I didn't improvise, that this couldn't be a good advice. Because how can you hear things that are worth playing if you have no knowledge of that style? Then the first thing should then be that you should listen to a lot of recordings. But even if you do that, because usually they say that as well, it's like listen to a lot of recordings, how are you going to recognize in that new style what exactly in all those notes that you hear are lines or things that you also can hear in your head? I don't even understand where to begin with that. So playing what you hear, maybe it's good advice for people that have played jazz for years and they hear all kinds of lines in their head. But even then, I would say it's not worth saying, because obviously when you have played jazz for many years and have transcribed or worked on vocabulary, you're going to hear those things. But then saying to someone else, you should play what you hear without them having that experience makes no sense, because they're not going to hear what you hear. The things you hear are the things that stuck around because of your experience. Yeah, I hear a lot of things in my head, but the things that I hear, big coincidence, are the things that I've practiced.
Picking up a guitar, and I asked someone like, hey, how do you play this jazz stuff? And the guy said, just play what you feel. I'm like, there is nothing up here. This can't do anything. Don't know what's going on here. I'm like, what? I don't think play what you feel is bad advice once you're at a certain level.
Right. So,
but like in the beginning, like I see, you know, I'm still a beginner. I've been unfortunately playing with guitar for a long time, but you know, I'm a beginner at all this. And
not at everything. You're not a beginner at everything, right?
Well, I mean, gypsy jazz to even be halfway decent is pretty tough, right?
That's true. Yeah. It is. So, it's funny because if you compare that to regular jazz, in some respects it isn't, in other respects it is. And I made a video about that, but I think it's nice to summarize that. So, gypsy jazz requires, first of all, that you have great technique. And I mean technique specifically to play those phrases that are in gypsy jazz, which are pretty hard to pull off. At least when you don't have the gypsy jazz picking technique yet. There are some exceptions for people that can do it without it. But mostly you need that technique. And that technique is just so hard to master with the double downs and a lot of shifting with the left hand. Once you have the technique, but that will take many years, then a lot of the stuff becomes pretty easy to play. But that takes a very long time. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is you need to be able to bring it on your own. And with that I mean is like, you won't get any help from the rhythm section, because the rhythm section is pretty dry in the sense that they're just playing straight rhythm, if they're doing it correctly. And so you need to bring it as a solo player. You need to create interest in your solo and lyricism and beauty. Now, in regular jazz, there's a technique thing, but you can get away with a little bit of less technique, because you don't have to be a super virtuosic player. It's almost a requirement in gypsy jazz. It's just what the music is. But you don't have to really bring it yourself. You could, but you could also do it through interaction with the rhythm section or be a quiet player. That makes that aspect of regular jazz maybe a little easier. Now, of course, the more difficult thing is that you'll be faced with many more challenging chord progressions. So in the end, it kind of evens out. But even for regular jazz musicians, when they go to gypsy jazz, they find this wall of, I need to bring it all the time. And then, of course, this technique thing. But in the end, of course, all of those music styles, improvising music styles, at the highest level, it's similar challenges and a similar long road to get there. It doesn't matter if you play bluegrass, gypsy jazz, bebop, contemporary jazz, or other improvising styles, which I can't think of right now, but there are many, of course.
I just see it as a craft, right? I just sit down and like some of the comments I get occasionally are, "Why don't you play real music? Like, why are you playing exercises? Play real music, play melodies." One guy bragged that he warms up with "Stairway to Heaven," and then he's good. You know, I'm like, how is that going to help you when I can't give you anything but "Love Comes On"? Like, what are you going to do? I just see it as a craft, right? Like until like maybe later I can play what I feel, but for now it's like I just have to sit down and hammer things, like repeat stuff, sit there and figure out. Now I'm trying to figure out. I looked at what is it? All the Things You Are. What is this? Tune of the month.
Yeah, All the Things You Are. Yeah.
Yeah. Tune
of the month is on my Discord. Is an initiative by some other members. Said let's do a tune every month that we all make a video. There's of course also Gem of the Week on Facebook, I think, which is a similar thing. And last month we had, or this month is all the Things You Are, I think, or maybe it was last month. We don't have it every month, but it was All the Things You Are.
It was like, nope, I'm just gonna have to flood the Discord with questions soon.
Well, that's a hard tune. So that's a hard tune, right? It's never played in Gypsy Jazz Jam sessions. So don't worry about that one.
Yeah.
It's a good tune to practice, but it's never played. So don't worry about that. So my next question for them, for you would be, so you've been doing all this stuff. Let's go to now. Right?
Okay.
You finished one of my books, did all the exercises.
Right.
You did them really great, I have to say that. And it's not easy to do, right? So, okay, you're not improvising,
Was not
but you have to really be aware of where everything is on the guitar. I'm very strict on timing and sound and stuff. So the reason, the fact that you did all of that is an accomplishment by itself, right? Let's not look at like great... Yeah, as numbers-wise, like I was looking in my web store today. Book 2 has sold many copies. I know exact numbers are hard for me to figure out because many people have bought several books at one time. But at least it's more than 250 copies of Book 2 have sold. In my Discord, you can level up by doing exercises or the one exercise that ends every chapter and sending me a video. And if the exercise is good enough, if your performance of it is good enough, you get a new level in Discord. And it opens up things for you. You get some content. If you do all the exercise in the book, you level to the highest level. And when you level, you get a new title. And I model those titles after chess titles. So, right, you can become a master in chess. And in my Discord, it's a JM. So not only M, but JM, Jazz Master. And you can become a Jazz International Master, JIM. The highest level, you are a Super Jazz Grandmaster. Now, in chess, there is no Super Grandmaster, not officially, but nowadays it is a title that is used. Those are the players above a 2700 ELO rating, which are not many people. So when you get to that highest level, in my Discord, you become a SJGM. Your name color will change and you will have that title in front of your name. So more than 250 copies sold, and only 7 people have managed to get there. And right now we have 2 Jazz Grandmasters, which is a level right below it. So they are also almost there, but it's very hard to get there. So Gabriel did that, and he did it in an exemplary fashion. And he logged all his practice sessions on YouTube. It's pretty amazing. So he's modest about his abilities, which is great. And yes, he's not a good or even average improviser yet, but I'm sure he'll get there eventually. But him just finishing that book, which means that he played every exercise with clean technique, good timing, very important, and good sound. And you have to have a good knowledge of the guitar neck to do that, is really an accomplishment. Just that you did that is a great accomplishment because many people have bought my book, and only 7 people have managed to do that. And I get actually at that time. You were always sending me exercises like almost perfectly, like play perfectly, no repeats at full tempo. But many people are sending me exercises saying, "Man, I've been struggling with this exercise for months," So, and then they still make a lot of mistakes. So it's hard. It's hard. Right? So let's get that out of the way.
Yeah.
But now that you've done all of that, what are your expectations of learning improv? What is your timeline for this? What do you think it's gonna take?
Good. I knew we were gonna bring this up because one of the things you said to my last progress report, you were like, I hope he doesn't think that learning improv is going to be like a month or 2 long process. And I was watching your review, and I was thinking, oh my God, is that what it sounds like? I'm like, I'm going to have to clear this up. No, I knew, and you say it all the time, but I already knew. I'm like, this is going to be, and it's in the description of my videos too, a years-long process. In fact, one of those, I mean, it's probably just I'm gonna have to work on it until I leave this earth, right? There's no end in sight. I was just excited to actually finally start, right? Because I'd always had this idea like, oh, it'd be nice to learn how to improv. I'd look up stuff online. Okay, well, I've seen these arpeggios a million times. Like, when I hear other people play, I don't think they're playing this. So what do I play? Finally got your stuff, did the books, book 2. And and I know this is it forever. So my expectations are, I have this material And it's nice because now I don't have...
I want to say here, so he said, this is it forever. Now, I'm not sure what he means. He might mean your books forever. I don't think so. But there is a message in there that I think is important. My books don't only give you great vocabulary, and the vocabulary in there is great because it's not something I just came up with. It's just transcribed from top players in the style that the book is about. So there's different books, different styles. But it also gives you a methodology for practice. And it gives you tools. It gives you backing tracks that you can use with any vocabulary. It gives you a way to get there. So in that sense, you could say, yeah, that will be it forever. Because you can just take anything you like, any vocabulary you like, and implement the methodology that is in my books. And that will yield results eventually. I know it will. It did for me. And don't forget, I started playing guitar after I was 30. And I still got to a professional level by implementing exactly these strategies.
To wander in search of other shiny, fun objects. I've got it right here.
When you look at it now, right?
Yeah.
What do you think is the biggest struggle in that process?
Well, okay, so I think I did it the right way. I think going through the whole book 2, right? That's the first beast, right? Book 1 is great, and actually I keep going back to it. But book 2 is the first real challenge. I think I did it the right way in completing the book because it's a physical challenge.
Yes.
And I knew that, and I was like, all right, I can't play triplets. I wasn't really aware of swing eighth notes until you said it, and you're like, this is how you play it. So there was a lot of time just going taka taka taka.
Right. Yeah, a lot of emphasis in my book on timing and how to get a good swing feel, which is not a mystery. I've seen a lot of people describe it as a mystery and you got to feel laid back. I don't believe in that. It's just a technical thing, which you can practice. And there's a methodology for that in the book, and I'm very strict on that aspect.
You can watch it all. So I did it the right way. So now the struggle is that not usually the chords that I see on the screen, when I bring up a song, don't match exactly with the phrases in the book. Or they do, but I have to look for them. Or I have to rearrange things. Like a lot of times, there are a lot of the dominant phrases are long and phenomenal, but then I only have like one bar of a dominant, and I have to go and remember what I know and also kind of extract it from what I know, right? Because I memorize things as the sets.
Yes, of course.
So it's trying to figure out, so it's trying to extract phrases that I can use. It's trying to remember them, right? Because I remember them as sets, they're not always there. I have to kind of I know where, the phrase starts, and I know where the F sharp starts in the phrase, but when it's on its own, I have to kind of go and look for it. So there's recalling the phrases individually, there's extracting smaller portions. Then there are sections where I don't know what's going on, like Christoph changes.
So what he's describing here is not a problem with my book per se. He's describing the difficulty of learning vocabulary in any way you want and then applying it to a song. Now, in my book, there are several chapters, right? There's chapters with like long loops that are over one chord. And in that case, right, you're doing a loop of, I don't know, 20 bars for a major chord. And the loop is consisting of many smaller phrases, like great phrases that I connected because they're all in the same position on the guitar, more or less. Of course, the challenge then becomes, okay, how can I implement parts of this in this tune that only ever has 2 bars of G major in a row? And then there is chapters with formulas, like 2-5-1s, Christoph changes, dominant chains, minor 2-5-1s, turnarounds, which you can apply directly. But still, the challenge becomes, okay, how do I remember all of that and how do I apply it? And the book isn't necessarily about that, but the Discord is. So in the Discord, in the private streams, I show that. I take phrases from the book and I show how to practice that. But I also say, and that's important, this is not a thing of, okay, I'm going to practice it this week and next week I'll be able to use it in improv. That's not the way it works. That's the way the book works, in the sense that you're practicing a certain exercise, and After a while, you can play it if you put in enough hours. But with improv, you're working on a skill that has to develop very slowly. It's like like training to block a punch or something, right? The punches you will get during a training will always be the same ones in the same order. But in a real like UFC fight, it will be very different. And the only way you can get better at it is by doing it a lot of times and doing those routines and those drills until your body starts reacting automatically. And in just improv, it's the same. Your fingers, your hands, and your brain has to react automatically to the puzzle of the chord progression that is there. And that takes a long time.
So I'm doing the book 3 Christoph Changes section right now. I've been working on it for the last week or so. And because you've explained how to do it in the Discord with the licks in book 2, but it's still a little confusing.
I have to admit, it's hard to do these things, right?
Yeah.
Even for me, as you can see now, because I have to give myself a very specific exercise to do these things. So there I skipped the part where I was demonstrating simplifying Christoph changes and trying to play the same phrases. And I made mistakes doing that because, again, practicing like that, where you force yourself to play a certain thing that you don't play every day or that you naturally don't play during an improv because it's new, is just very hard. Because that is much different from doing a gig or improvising and just playing what's natural to you, which at one point was also new, but it's not new anymore when you're improvising, right? Because you're improvising the order of those things and maybe the exact way you play it, but it's still phrases or vocabulary that you said or played before.
Right.
And it just takes away from creativity that you have.
Right.
So where do you see? Why do you think you're doing this though? What do you think is the purpose of this exercise? I was hoping you would say something like, so that when I start having a gig, I play this phrase.
Oh,
I was hoping you were going to say that.
Well, that's what all this is for, right? That's what.
But that's the wrong answer. Yeah. So that is the wrong answer. So I was thinking
that's wrong
that
too.
you maybe.
Okay. All right.
I thought you thought that. Just like, okay, so then I do this enough. So I asked him here, like, why do you think we do this practice of taking a phrase and playing it everywhere in the tune? Right? We take a 2/1 lick and we play it on every 2/1. Maybe we try to change a little bit. We play it a little bit earlier, play it a little later. We try to play parts of it. What is the reason? And he gave a bunch of answers that I don't think are the correct answers. And then I said here, I was thinking maybe you would say, like most people say, oh, it's just so that I practice it like this now, so next week I can play it during the gig. And that is also the wrong answer, in my opinion and experience. And I think I'm going to say here why. When I go to a jam, I will play this phrase. Because I'll be honest with you, I very rarely play this phrase. And you can tell that because I'm struggling, I'm making mistakes, playing too early. I very rarely play it because I love this phrase.
Right.
I don't play it a lot.
Right.
The reason why we do this exercise is to just play it all the time.
Yeah.
So that our ears start hearing this phrase at the right spots. Maybe.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
But very low chance. But we're just giving it the best we can. Because in the end, or let's take the ears out of it, because that makes it sound like some kind of something that you can only do when you have incredible ears. It's more that you hope that your brain starts making the connection when you play the tune to your fingers, like, oh, I can play it right now. It just pops into my mind, and my fingers at the right spot. But it's very random if that's gonna happen.
But I feel like there's
and to clarify, I made a video or several videos about that, but I give the analogy. I think I mentioned it here, but I give the analogy in that video of like practicing jazz for me, at least, but also for many other people that I've talked to. It's like throwing darts on a dartboard, but you're not a professional darts player. So you have 100 darts and you just throw them at the same time. Bam. Right? Or maybe one after another, but you try to aim for the bullseye all the time. But I'd like to say all at the same time. You try to hit bullseye, and maybe 2 will get close. Maybe 1 will hit bullseye, 2 will get very close, 3 will be kind of close, but the rest is just not even close. So the audience is outside the room. And before you let them in to admire your dart skills, you take out all of the darts that missed their goal, and you invite them in and you say, look, I just threw those darts, and they see like 4 darts, 1 bullseye, 2 very close, and 1 almost there. And they say, wow, you're a very good darts player. That is, for me, what jazz improv and the practicing of it is like. So I'm at home, I'm practicing the 100 darts, the 100 licks, or even like 10 licks. But during the gig, I don't think about those licks. I just play what comes out naturally at that point, right? What pops into my mind, that's what I say. Or what I hear, whatever you want to say. It just happens in some way. And some of those phrases that I practiced last week will maybe appear. Probably not. Probably what will appear is phrases that I practiced like 2 years ago. But people that are there, they only hear that. And they only hear the interpretation of what it is that you're doing right now, and the sensibility and the time that you're playing it with. They're not aware that you were practicing those new things that you would really like to play some days before. Well, they're not interested in it anyway. They're just interested in hearing what happens in the moment. So those are those 4 darts that hit bullseye or very close to it. And that's the darts I'm pointing at. That's the licks I'm playing. So when we practice a new phrase, we just give them the best we can. And maybe it will appear at one point in your playing. Maybe it won't. I don't care. I just like the phrase. I practice it. It doesn't work. I practice some more. Maybe I go to another phrase. And one day, maybe it appears. Maybe it doesn't. But something else will appear.
Got to be like a critical mass of stuff you can work on, right? Like at some point, like you just said, you've made enough connections. You can now, think like you just demonstrated. You turn on the tune, expecting to play something, and suddenly your brain's like, we get all this that we can work with because we've drilled it so much. Like, we haven't played this in 10 years. Oh, we were working on this the other day. There's got to be some sort of critical mass, right? And I think that's another reason why for me, I just got to drill stuff.
Can you define critical mass in this context for me?
You just work on so much stuff that at some point you're able to do something with it that's not necessarily like you're able to do more than just the individual pieces, right? Like right. Like you've created enough connections, like you just said, between
that could be it. That could be it. I'm thinking a little bit different way.
Okay.
I don't know either. Here's the thing. I don't know. I don't think many people know. Here's the way I look at it. Maybe you've heard me say that before. I look at it with the darts. Right?
Here we go. Darts.
Yeah.
But I don't think I really
I'm working on like 60 things at the same time, hoping that one will stick. But why it sticks, I don't know. It has to do something with I don't know. My fingers seem to like this phrase, or it fits with lots of other stuff I have, but I'm not completely sure what it is. And you know how many times I've sat down with like Stochelo after a gig and said, "Hey man, do you know this thing?" And he said, "No, yeah. Do you know this thing?" And then I never heard him play it, ever. So I remember him. He had this fast thing on with open strings. He was showing it to everyone. Showed it to me. Showed it to Moses. I have never heard him play it in a solo ever. But he was really.
I remember that. Actually, I didn't really. I just started playing guitar, and he had this new thing. I don't remember what it is now, but he had this new thing, and he was showing it because we had a concert with Moses. Kachi Rosenberg was there. Falco Reiners, a bunch of guitar players, and he was showing this phrase. It's like, oh, God, it's very cool. You can play it there, there, and there. And it's like, oh, that is cool, right? I tried to learn it on violin. But then I noticed that he was never playing it during that concert, but also not the next day. And I don't remember him playing it at all. And that was one of the light bulb moments for me. It's like, okay, it's not only for me that I forget phrases, it's for everyone. And Stochelo is not really searching for new vocabulary anyway. Sometimes he finds something that's new. But for him, it's the same. Like, he's not guaranteed of using that thing unless he writes a composition with it, or unless he composes a solo or part of a solo. Say, okay, I'm going to play this tonight. But that is not a sustainable situation. You don't want to do that. Because if that's the way you play, then you will never get to the stage where you can just improvise a solo. And you will feel very inhibited when you have to improvise then, because then you don't have your solo. And also what happens is if you mess up somewhere in that composed solo, you don't know how to get back to something that is nice. So you want to work on phrases until they become natural. But if they don't become natural, which happens in most cases, then don't be too frustrated about it. You can be a little bit, but don't be too frustrated. That's just normal, natural. Maybe someday it will be. You never know. Just keep working on it or work on something else.
He really liked the thing.
Yeah.
So it is the same for everyone. Right? You just fall in love with a certain phrase.
Yeah.
You really like it. You practice it your ass off on it, but then you never play it. And you go home, it's like, man, I didn't play that phrase. Next time, but it never happens.
Oh, so okay, I've got a question to ask. I'm really curious about. So how long do you work on phrases until you're ready to move on, or until you feel like now it's time to work on something else?
Exactly the amount of time until I get bored with that particular thing I'm doing. So let's get away from classical music and classical practice, because what you did with book 2 is basically classical music practice in the sense that you have a exercise, right?
Yep.
And it's like a technique thing, it's like a timing thing. But if it's about improv, I work exactly the amount of time on it until I have had enough. And then I work on something else. Because I know that the goal is not to make this thing, make this particular phrase or chord or whatever, a thing, a definite thing for my playing. I know that is never the goal, because if that is the goal, you will be disappointed so many times.
Okay.
But because the chance that you are going to play it are so low. And it's very hard for people to understand this. I've seen people in my Discord say, well, no, but with the science of nowadays, there has to be some kind of neuroscience thing, and the way of practicing, and spaced repetition, and then we have these Ank apps and stuff.
Yeah.
I've heard this all before, and I've tried all of it. I had a notepad at one point where I came up with abbreviations for certain phrases, and I tried to organize them in a certain way and look at it every None of that stuff ever worked.
No, not. And the thing is, if you try to force it to work, so say, okay, tonight I have this system now, I'm going to do it. You will make enjoying the gig or the jam and playing much harder, and you will mess up. One point, you will get frustrated with yourself, and then it will start messing with your timing and your technique, and then you're nowhere. So I got rid of this attitude of, okay, I've been practicing triplets or something, or I've been practicing playing this whole tone stuff. I have to do it tonight. No, don't do it. You just make life harder on yourself. Play things that come natural at the moment. And in the beginning of your playing, there won't be a lot of things. And there will be many gaps, but you have to just accept it. Play some chords in the gaps, or just accept that you don't have anything to play there. But trust the process in the sense that if you work on this regularly and with a lot of awareness what you're doing, then you can let go during improv and trust that in 3 to 6 years, you will have no gaps, and you start getting better and better at playing the things that do come natural to you in better and better ways. Then I hear Stochelo play, or other players that I know really well, even somebody like Pasquale Grasso, who has a huge range of stuff he play.
Yeah.
I still hear a lot of the same things in every song. Why is that? It's because that is the thing that comes to mind, that you hear, whatever you want to call it, you hear, comes to mind, that your fingers go towards, I don't know, whatever it is that it is. You keep playing the same things. But you shouldn't look at it like, oh, I'm playing the same things all the time. You should look at it like, okay, this is what I can play. This is what pops to mind. How can I play this thing as interestingly as possible? Right? Can I change the timing? Maybe I can play a little bit differently. Maybe I can stop the line earlier. Maybe I can extend it. And that's what Stochelo, for instance, is so good at. Because he only has 15 to 20 phrases that he plays all the time, based on my transcribing more than 100 solos. People hear that, 15, 20, so that sounds easy. I'm going to also find 15 phrases. Yeah. But it doesn't work like that.
Right.
You got to practice, like Stochelo has practiced hundreds of things, right?
So, okay. So what should I do? So what I'm trying to, should I start looking for other vocabulary or going harder into book 3, or because right now I'm just trying to figure out how to play over songs. So I wanted to use the material that's in my fingers kind of as training wheels.
My methodology with the books is there's 2 reasons I wrote the books. No, maybe 3. But one of the first reasons is to get people working on something that they have to pay attention to their timing.
Yeah.
And that's why the set exercises are there because there's many challenges that are put in the way of you messing with your timing. It's difficult to play. You have to play all these keys. The one thing I'm interested in is your timing, does it stay okay? Because once I see that you can do that you can play these difficult things, but your timing is still okay. Could be timing for swing 8th notes, could be timing for triplets, could be timing for swinging quarter notes, could be all of these things. Could be a timing of your hammer-ons, of your slides, right? It's all swing 8th notes, but it's different challenges. If I can see that you can do that, I know that you have developed the awareness of it. So now every time you start playing, so for instance, I noticed now when I was playing, okay, I was struggling with the line, it messed with my timing. I'm bummed about it, but I know that's going to happen. But now I know that every time you practice something new, could be my book, could be something else, you are aware of this very important thing. So that's the first reason. The second reason is to just give you very beautiful phrases that you can use if you want to, because some people are very bad at transcribing or they don't feel like transcribing. I give you a cross-section of the greatest phrases I find in a particular style. So book 2 is just phrases that I like randomly from different places. Book 3, it's only Django from the 30s. Book 4, it's only bebop phrases, right? It's just a collection of really great phrases organized in a way that you can understand how it works on the guitar. Like, this is all in this space, in this spot, right?
It's so well done. I've said it in the Discord, but like, just to say it to your face, dude, it's so well done.
Oh, thank you.
So nice. Like I keep saying it, but book 3, I'm loving it. Like I would have never, even if I was transcribing stuff, like the Christoph changes, for example, I wouldn't have been able to stick with it long enough to actually transcribe those phrases. But because they're in the book and because I have, I'm able to follow along with you and like I said this before too, a lot of the phrases don't make sense to me until like...
I want to say here, because a lot of people, they ask me, should I buy book 2, book 3 or book 1? Now, book 1 is actually a very good book, if I'm honest, in the sense that it will give you a unbreakable basis for improv in the Gypsy Jazz style. If you can play the stuff in book 1, which is not that much stuff, if you think about it, if you can play that, you can pretty much improvise on any song in the Dutch style, right? We were talking about Stochelo, Paulus, Moses. Of course, they do more than that, what's only in book 1, but like the basis, like the skeleton. But there is no integration with Discord. There is no set exercise that you can send to me. I won't review your playing with book 1. Book 2 is where that starts. And it's a continuation of book 1 in the sense of the style vocabulary, although there's a lot more bebop flavored licks in the book. But a lot of people are very interested in Django only. So they want to start with book 3. But the thing about book 3 is it's only Django from the 30s. So it's a very specific style of Django, which is not very suitable in every situation. And the set exercises are very hard in that book, harder than in book 2. Just because Django's playing is hard, technically speaking. So book 2 is a little bit more easier technically wise, even though there are many difficult things in it. But that's why I would always recommend people to start book 2 to get used to this way of practicing, to get used to sending videos and working with a metronome. And then once you've mastered book 2, or once you get a good grasp of it, then you can move on to book 3 or 4, depending on what you prefer style-wise. You like bebop, go book 4. It's also much harder than book 2. So if you like Django, especially the old style, go to book 3. I will write a book next year or something, book 6, because book 5 will be about chords. Book 6 will probably be Django 40s, 50s. If you prefer that, then you go there, right? So I still recommend people to start with book 2, maybe in combination with book 1 to get a good start in your improv journey.
I can play them at a certain speed until they're comfortable. Right. And then at some point, I'm like, oh, now I hear what's going
Yeah.
on. If you hadn't done that and created, like I said, all the books, I would have never been able to transcribe these things on my own. So that's why I would have been stuck, because it just wouldn't have made any sense. So
that's
yeah. So I think I was just praising you for that while we were at it. But I think the question is, so should I stick with book 2, or until I can kind of figure out how to play over different sections of songs, because there aren't a million options, right? There are only so many.
Yeah, the third step. Here's the third step, and this is where you are at.
Okay.
So you did all the stuff with exercises and the timing, paying attention to timing and clean playing and technique. You did all of that stuff, right? But here's the final step. The final step is that you just practice improv with stuff you like.
Okay.
They could be from my books, and I use my own books. To be honest, I use my own books to fuel my practice sessions. Yeah. Because in book 3, basically, it's every phrase of Django that I want to be able to play. Yeah. That's book 3. Yeah. Book 4 is just people phrases that I want to play. That's what's in the books. It's just things that I want to learn, and I have my whole computer. There's thousands of things I transcribed, but are not organized. So before I start practicing something, I organized it, and it's basically what you see. That's the book, right? It's an organization of things I love. So the third step here is that you work on that in any way that you want, but not with the goal to have that be a part of your to have that 100% be a part of your improv language. Because if you have that goal, you're going to be very, very disappointed. And you probably stop.
Yeah.
Because you think, man, I've been practicing this crystal change for half a year, and I still, whenever I start improvising, I never played.
Never played. Yeah.
And you will stop, because that's going to happen. You have to just be happy with your practice sessions. And when you play something in improv, when that happens, you have to be very proud of yourself. It's like, man, I just played it. I didn't.
And especially when it happens when you didn't expect it. Because, of course, you can plan these things, but that's not the same, because that's not a realistic situation. It has to happen, I don't want to say randomly, but it has to happen naturally. But even that gives the wrong impression, because that kind of seems like it happened without any preparation. Of course, you practiced all of these things, but it has to happen in the moment. That's a good thing to say. It in the moment. It's not something that you work towards. You're just playing, and you happen to find the phrase, hear the phrase, whatever it is, and it happens in the moment. That is a very good feeling, especially when you notice it. Like, wow, there's that altered idea I was practicing, or there's that whole tone phrase, or this jungle thing, or I don't know, whatever it is that you were practicing on, working on from, I don't know, maybe 4 years ago, right? But it happens. Like, you have to be very proud of yourself, because that is, well, you cannot even be proud of yourself because it happened naturally, but you have to notice it and think, wow, there it is, finally. Tend to play it. I was just improvising. I had a clear mind, and I just played it, and I played it. And that's, if the first time you play a new line, it's really a joyous occasion for me also.
So is that a later stage though? Because right now, if I have such a limited vocabulary and I'm still trying to figure out the songs, like, should I be exploring other phrases and licks, or should I just try to stick with a limited range and just to figure out how it all fits together? And then once I've kind of got that foundation, then add ornaments to the Christmas tree. Or,
I'm going to say something that you really don't like.
Oh God.
But there's only one way to test this.
Yeah,
Can you guess what it is? Can you guess what it is?
Go and jam.
And that is it. I'm sorry, but that is it. Because you have to now just play with people and say, okay, let's play Sweet Sue, and make your mind free.
Right.
Don't think about the phrases you practiced. Right. I know that's hard. Right. It's hard. It's hard for me too.
Right.
And accept your suckiness.
So, so when you say jam,
that's hard.
Right, and obviously I've been very, like, I'm not ready to jam, meaning, for the most part, I don't...
I'm reacting here to a video where he said that he wasn't ready to jam yet. But that is never the case. Well, if you cannot play guitar, that is the case. But if you can play a song, and if you can accompany someone else, you need to play some rhythm. You be able to do that, play supportive to someone else, because you don't want to just show up and play your solos and not help the other person also play some solos. If you can just play one tune and like 2 licks, you're ready to jam. Of course, you won't sound good, but you have to start then. It's especially important to start at that stage and not when you think you have it all together. Because I promise you, if you think that at home and you never jammed, you go to a jam, it will all fall apart. And that will maybe lead into a very destructive road of you never want to jam again and never want to practice again, because why are you practicing then? So do it from an early stage on. Like when you know like 5 tunes, and with knowing them, I mean you know how to play the chords, rhythm, and you know it by heart. Maybe know the theme, but not necessarily. Maybe there's someone else to play the theme. I know some people object to that, but okay, we'll talk about it later, or I'll talk about it in another video. But go and say, okay, can we play a minor swing? Can we play Sweet Sue, or all the things you are? Well, maybe not that tune, but you know what I'm saying. And then you just do your best. You play your solo, your improvised solo. You make your mind empty and you play, and it will be bad. It will be, but you did it. First step, and then next time you do it again. And in 5 years, your experience jamming will grow together with your knowledge of vocabulary. And that's the way to do it.
Get most songs. Like Sweet Sue, I get. I sat there and I was like, okay, let's slowly work through this. I mean, I kind of get it. I get it in the comfort of my room. But like, you know, all the things you are, I don't get. So you're saying...
Yeah, don't jam that tune. Don't jam all the things you are.
So now I can jam... Actually, okay. I actually jammed a few days ago. There's a guy who lives right down the street. It was kind of random. He's got a couple of Gypsy jazz guitars. I think he bought it on like Alibaba or something. He's been playing for a long time, and he knows some of the people in the jazz Gypsy jazz community here. So I haven't seen him in a long time. I was walking around. He happened to be. He's got a little shop, a bar. So I stopped in, and we ended up jamming, and it went exactly how I thought it would go. It was a mess.
Yeah.
my rhythm sucked. I was like, this is not correct. That's why I started playing.
Okay, you have to fix that. Fix your rhythm.
That's why I started working on it. But then the phrases...
So before you go to a jam, fix that.
Yeah.
But let's say I'm you. You, right? I'm now you.
Right.
So I finished book 2. It was a great feeling. I know now what good vocabulary is. I heard it many times.
Yeah.
I know what good timing is. It's great. That's a great foundation. And I know Sweet Sue. But my rhythm sucks. Yeah. So I'm now going to spend a couple of months getting my rhythm okay. It doesn't have to be great, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to be Mathieu Sautelin. You just have to be able to play like this. Sweet Sue.
Which is
you work on that.
To be much harder than I thought. Yeah.
It is. You know what the hard thing about rhythm is? It cannot be the tempo thing. I think you can handle that. The hard thing about rhythm is the sound. To get that sound.
That's what it is.
Nice.
The bounce.
But I have a lot of videos about it. So, and you can ask me questions.
What I'm watching. Yeah.
As soon as my rhythm is okay, and I can play like say 5 songs, and I can solo on 1, right? Sweet Sue for now. I go to a jam session, I play the songs I know, I play rhythm, and then when we play Sweet Sue, maybe nobody mentions it, guys, can we play Sweet Sue? I play a solo on Sweet Sue.
Hey,
of course, I try it.
Yeah.
It's going to be I'll be very nervous, my hands start sweating, right? Nothing's working. You do 1 chorus, and you failed. Let's do it again next week. And you do this every week or as much as you can. Best thing is to go actually also to a festival where you can do it 24/7 with other people that are bad. That's the testing ground. It's the testing grounds for your practice at home. And you need those testing grounds because, like you said, like if I cannot do it at home with a backing track, why would I do it live? But the reason is the thing with the backing track at home is not comparable. Because you can actually it's very difficult to turn off your brain and say, okay, now I'm just going to improvise the backing track and not think of the licks I just practiced.
Right.
That's not going to work because you were just practicing those phrases. But when you have to take a bus to a jam session or a plane and somebody, hey, Martin, let's jam. You didn't practice those phrases. You have to get out your guitar, tune, and you have to start playing Sweet Sue. That situation is so radically different from having just practiced. I'm not sure how you're going to recreate that at home.
Well, true, but I just don't understand. Like, there are so many gaps, though. Like, my whole thing is like, it's not that I want to postpone this forever. It's just there are a bunch of gaps. As in, like, I know I can. Well, I could the other day play a couple of things over Sweet Sue, and I looked at another song today or whatever. Like,
you could.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, I don't know.
There you go.
I could play. Yeah.
I laugh here because he was making it sound like he wouldn't be able to do anything, but now he knows he could do something, and maybe one of those things sounded pretty good. Maybe the rest was not as good, but it doesn't matter. That's how you start, and you should notice that. Okay, hey, on that in the bridge there, I played a really nice thing on C minor. You know, good results. Next week, maybe let's see if I can play something nice on the D7. Maybe not. Don't put pressure on yourself. Put pressure on yourself while you're practicing. Don't put pressure on yourself while you're jamming. When you're jamming, you're just trying to be a natural improviser. That's your goal. You won't reach that goal for a couple of years, but that's always the goal when you go to a jam. Natural improviser.
But it's like and I'm not going to go with one song, right? So I guess what you're saying is get a few more songs, spend a little more time on it.
No, one song is fine. If you can only do one song, then do one song. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Because it's not so much about being ready to face a jam like a pro. It's just being there and playing. But let me address this one thing that you said. Okay, if there's many gaps. Listen, I saw this guy commenting on your video, like bad advice that Christiaan gave going to a jam. What I do is I prepare a solo.
Yeah.
That is not a bad idea. I like that idea as long as you combine it with improv. So why not prepare one chorus, and you can practice that at home. I agree with that. Say, okay, I'm just gonna play Sweet Sue. I'm gonna start with.
Actually,
I'm gonna start like that, and then I do. It's fine.
I actually don't want to. Yeah, to be honest, I don't want to prepare.
No, but it's fine.
Yeah.
I like that idea because it will give you something to hold on to.
Yeah.
It's like a safety. Like when you fall off a boat,
Safety net, right?
you have this thing that keeps you afloat. But here's my thing. Then jump from the boat with your what do you call it when you keep floating?
Your life jacket.
Yeah. Jump from the boat with your life jacket. Do it for 5 minutes, but then take off the life jacket and try to swim without the life jacket also.
Right.
See if you drown. Accept the drown.
I will drown. Believe me,
Yes, you will drown. And you know that, right? You say, okay, life jacket's off. My pre-composed solo is out of the window. Now I'm gonna face the chord progression like a natural improviser. I'm gonna face the water like a natural swimmer. But the problem is, you don't have the experience to actually stay afloat. So you will drown. But hopefully not for too long, right? It's one chorus and then somebody will throw you a lifeline or someone else will take over and start soloing. And you can get back on the boat, work on your... the rest of the week you work on your swimming drills in a tiny pool, right? And then you go out out to sea next week. You go to the jam again, you try it again.
Yeah, I've drowned many times. Yeah.
But if you need that to feel secure, then I'm all for it.
Right.
I have never done that, but I know plenty of people who have done it, and they had a great experience. So figure out one little chorus and say, guys, or don't say guys, say just play 2 choruses.
Yeah.
Play one chorus that you prepared. Probably also will go wrong. You will see.
Definitely.
Because there's other challenges with that. But then do one chorus.
There's other challenges with the pre-composed solo. Now you get basically in the classical realm of challenges, which is the pressure of performing something that is pre-composed or composed. So with classical, there's this challenge that a lot of people in the audience will probably notice, piece note for note. So if you make a mistake, they'll notice. But when it's only you that pre-composed solo, nobody else knows it, you know it. And the moment you make a mistake, you'll get distracted. And because you don't have a great awareness of how to solve mistakes like that, or you can just improvise something, you'll be stuck in your pre-composed solo, which is also a bad feeling. So make sure that if you do a pre-composed solo, it's something that you can actually play. Or don't be too precise with the pre-composed solo. Have more like general ideas. Like, okay, I'm going to start with this diminished arpeggio, then I'll play this bluesy thing, something like that. That can help. And that was it. That was your whole jam for that evening. That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. I've embarrassed myself in front of so many audiences, like music and otherwise. This is not coming from like fear so much as it is coming from experience. It's like a little more extra preparation goes a long way. So
yeah,
I'll get out there soon. Hopefully, at some point, I'll be comfortable. I'm aiming for mediocrity for now because
Okay.
That's. I mean, maybe not as a final step, but it's certainly a necessary place to get to first. So yeah, as far as humility goes,
then let me say that you are too humble.
I just when you're aware of how of people who have worked very hard and have gotten very good, like when you're aware of
the thing though is mediocrity as an improviser is actually already pretty good. Being a mediocre improviser means that you are able to hold your own in some way. It might not be the most creative or ear-catching solo, but just being a mediocre improviser is already an accomplishment. So don't aim for mediocrity. Well, no. Say you could aim for that, but realize that is already a very high aim. I would say when you start going to jam sessions, aim for not losing the form or something, or aim for being a good accompanist, or aim for, I don't know, just being there is already a good aim, because just you going to the jam session can be a big step for some people, because there's a chance you have to play. But you should aim for being there and knowing some of the tunes, playing rhythm, and trying your hand at the solo. Don't aim for mediocrity yet, because aim for mediocrity can also be a challenge that's already too big.
That, and you're self-aware, like aware enough that you know that you're not even close to where these folks are. How can you be anything but humble about it?
But that's good. That's good, man. Then that means that you get it, and that means also that people that have gotten it and are already good, they will accept you playing with them. That doesn't matter how you play, because they can tell that you get it. They know that you understand how good you can get, and that you're not there yet. Yeah. That's what I mean. Like, there's people that are very bad, but they think they're at the level of Argentine, right?
Which is insane to me. Yeah, I've seen it a couple times. Online there.
It's called jam killers. These people are called jam killers. And we start jamming, and a guy like that comes in, and then we all look. What we're talking about here, I think I cut out a part, is he's saying, how can I jam with people that are so much better than me? I make a fool out of myself. And I say, well, yeah, we've all been there. But if you act like a humble guitar player, in the sense like you're not hogging the spotlight, you're not trying to play 5 choruses of a crappy solo, you're not trying to call every tune, play super loud. If you are humble, then you can even jam with Stoffel Rosenberg, right? If he sees like you give him all the room for him to play his solo, as many choruses as he wants, because it's Stoffel. But you only play some tunes solo that you kind of know, and you play one chorus, and you're not trying to play weird stuff, then he'd be fine with that, right? He would actually enjoy probably jamming with you. And that goes for most high-level players. It gets weird or annoying when you start behaving like you're one of the guys, like the top guys. You're not. Like, when I jam with Stoffel, I also give him all the room, right? If he wants to play 10 choruses, go right ahead. I'm going to play 2 choruses. I think I've earned the right to play 2 choruses. Right? Maybe 3 if I'm feeling it. But 5 years ago, I would play 1 chorus. Right? And maybe in 3 years, I can play as many choruses as Stoffel. Right? But here's the thing with Stoffel: he won't play 10 choruses. He also plays 2-3 choruses because he wants to give room to you. So don't be scared of jamming with people that are much better than you. As long as you know your place in that hierarchy of different levels that are possible, then you're fine.
each other and everybody knows, and then we play one more tune. Yeah. Sometimes we do it like, let's play something really fast that he doesn't know. So like that. We never say that here, but that's what happens.
Right.
But if they still play, then usually guys, I'm tired, I'm gonna go get a drink. That's what happens. And you don't want to be that guy, but you're not that guy.
No.
So we're talking about here, if you are acting like that, like a jam killer, then what will happen is that the jam will break up. So if you're there in a jam, and after 2 tunes, people say, man, guys, I gotta go, and everybody says, yeah, me too. And then you are not acting in a responsible way as a beginner, or depending on your level compared to the other people, of course. If you are in a jam with all beginners, it's okay. But if you jam with some really good people, and you know who those are, and you can hear them, then be humble, be in the background, but still be there. Still try to learn as much as you can. Do you have questions? Do you have a question for me? Because I was talking a lot and no. As usual, rambling.
Man, nothing I can think of. I think it was more just wanted to see what.
There's a group in the Netherlands called the Ramblers. I would have been a great addition to the group, not maybe for the playing, but for all the rambling I do.
What happened if we had a conversation? Happy to tell you my experiences. Happy to praise the books. Again, not getting paid for this, but
not yet.
not yet. Yeah. Yeah, you need an affiliate program, man. I think I sent a few people. I think Just a Dude Practicing has sent a couple people over, which is great.
I think so. Yeah. No, I don't doubt that.
Happy to do.
Yeah, it's true. I think his channel actually sent a bunch of people towards my books, but I have to say, I sometimes search. Who am I kidding? I'm searching every day. No. Like once a week, I do a search to see where my books are mentioned for reviews stuff, and I do notice they get mentioned more and more in forums. I saw a thread on Reddit. Not many people responding yet, but the word's getting out. And if you're curious to it, you don't even have to buy the books. You can just join my Discord and be part of the conversation. See some of the videos. Check out the resources that are already there. I always say it's not a revolutionary system for learning jazz, but I think it's quite new. This whole package of a book, videos, online videos, specialized backing tracks, the Discord community there, the live streams I do, the private live streams, me interacting with the people that buy the book, doing the streams like this, doing streams together with Just a Dude Practicing, and there might be more in the future with him or with other people. I think that's a new way of learning jazz, quite new. It's very guitar-centered for now, but who knows what happens in the future. But go check it out.
No, I don't know. I can't think of any questions right now. I'm sure as soon as we hang up, I'll have 10. But for now, man, I'm just working at it slowly but surely, trying to use the material. Trying to take.
Let me ask you a question then, final.
Sure. Yeah.
Let me ask you a final question.
Yeah.
Do you have any plans in the future? It doesn't have to be near future, to actually go to a camp, festival, a thing where you meet other people that are doing the same thing that you are doing?
Yeah, I'd like to. That's why I'm doing all this, because I want to use it all. I don't always want to just play on my couch, right?
Yeah.
I do want to get out there. I do want to gig. I've got opportunities I've got some people who are just waiting for me to go, I'm ready now.
I can give you a timeline. I can give you an estimation how long it's going to take you to become. Yeah. So this is based on your practice schedule and what I've seen. If you actually do the thing I said with jamming, try to get a monthly jam going where you meet some people and play, and go a little bit to festivals, I think it's going to take you about 3 to 4 years.
Okay.
To be at a level where you are very confident about your abilities to play okay.
I like the way you said that. Confident
no, because
my ability to play okay, but which is
to play okay. Yeah.
What a great place. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's a great. I've been in that place for a very long time.
Yeah.
Now I'm at the place where I'm very confident that I'm gonna play good, not great.
Yeah. Okay.
Right?
There's
funny. Good.
Yeah.
There's great, and there is genius.
Right.
I'm very confident I'm going to play good. There is a chance that I'm going to play great, but the chance is significantly smaller than the chance that I'm going to play good. And with good, I mean that I won't fuck up.
Okay.
But great means that you play in such a way that you're proud of it, in a sense like, man, I wish there would have been a CD recording. That stage, I can only connect to that feeling maybe once every 10 times I play.
Why do you think that is? Like, what's the difference? Is it not enough time, like total practice time? Or?
One of the reasons is actually, and that it's kind of sound weird, but one of the reasons is because I work on so much different stuff. And I write these books, and I'm working on the bebop stuff, and then I'm working on Django 30s. So I kind of lose this is what I'm good at. Right? If you're like Stocholo's not working on any new vocabulary anymore. He told me, like, now I've stopped practicing like 6 years ago for new vocabulary. I only work on things that I have to play in a concert that are new or something. If you have your language down, like, this is me, this is how I play, then somebody like Moses Rosenberg is a very good example.
Moses Rosenberg.
His style is Stocholo plus.
Okay.
Stocholo plus George Benson, something like that, you know? That's his style. I don't think he's very particularly interested to play Django from the 30s things. He told me that, actually. He's not interested in that. He likes it. He's not interested. He's only working on getting that better. That specific formula that he has that's very unique, that is very recognizable, getting that better and better. And man, he's getting better and better. I should do that too. But the thing is, I'm addicted to finding new stuff. I'm just addicted to it, you know?
Yeah.
It's like I'm getting into this, oh man, I want to know more about...
Actually, it is true. And one of the reasons for that is that I am just very good at transcribing. I can do that very fast, very precisely. I can write down things in such a way that they are easy to read, easy to understand. That has nothing to do with playing jazz guitar, not directly. It comes from my time as a transcriber, arranger, composer, classical musician. I'm just really good at notating stuff, and I'm always curious to see what something looks like on paper when I write it down, when I codify it, when I put it in a system. I love doing that stuff. But then I'm always then trying to add new things to my playing all the time, which makes it more difficult to find your style. Now, I do think I do have a style. I think I say it here. It's a mix between like Stocholo on one hand, and on the other hand, it's some mix between Pascal Grasso, Peter Bernstein, and Martijn van Itsen, which are my main influences from the modern style. It's a mix between those two things. And that style is perfectly fine. It sounds great, I think. If I stop now adding new stuff and only work on the style I have now and getting that better and better, that would actually probably be the smartest thing, artistically speaking. But it's not what I want to do. I'm just addicted to, like I said here, to finding new stuff. But I'm diluting my attention to finer details of playing by doing that. Because I'm always tackling a completely new thing, and then I'm not spending enough time on getting other aspects of my playing better. Right? But, it's what I want. That's the choice I make. Because that's what I like. That, and then I go 100%. I transcribe like 50 solos.
Yep.
But it's also diluting my attention to detail.
Oh, well, yeah.
Not to detail, but to...
I forgot I said that.
Things I'm already good at.
Yeah. Okay.
That's it. Yeah.
So your curse is our blessing, right?
It's great for people. It's for great people. It's great people that want to learn stuff.
Yeah.
I just made that mini blues course, right?
Yeah.
I didn't plan on that, but it's because Alex Schaller asked me in Discord about if I could make a video about blues things, and then Gilles put up 8 videos I made about blues, and I started watching my own videos. It's like, oh, that's great stuff. I never played it again. Right. And I start practicing my ass off on those things, and I made a blues course. Why? That's not the way I'm gonna play, So it's you know what I mean. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. You're in a way spreading yourself too thin, right?
Yes.
Whereas other people who are they pick that one.
No, violin. I'm like that. I'm violin. I know how I play.
Yeah.
I like it. I never practice any new vocabulary, and so that's why when I'm on violin, I'm very certain that I'm gonna play great. I'm just confident it's going to be great.
Nice.
Doesn't matter if I'm prepared, yes or no. I'm confident that I'm going to be great because I know the way I play, and I also know my weaknesses, so I know how to avoid them. I know if somebody says, "Let's play Donna Lee," I'm going to say no because it's in A flat, and I cannot play in A flat on violin the same way I can play in other keys. So I just say no. You know, so I am confident about my ability on violin, and the only thing that can happen is that I injure myself and I can't play anymore.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, it's gonna be great. I don't think I will ever reach that stage on guitar. Actually, if I'm honest, I don't think I will ever reach it.
Really?
No, because I'm just too addicted to.
And so people always ask me, like, what do you enjoy more, playing violin or guitar? If I'm honest, the act of playing, I enjoy guitar more. Precisely for the reason I just said here, because I'm always working on new stuff and it's exciting, and I just like that process. But I know for a very important concert, I'll do better on violin. And it's not because I've been playing violin for so much longer. That's not the reason. Because I think by now I spent just the same amount of time in guitar as violin, maybe even more. But it's just because I have the way of I want to play violin, I have that down. I know how I want to play. Now, you maybe don't like it. I like it. A lot of people like it. So that's the way I play. And it's easy for me to do. And I can spend all my attention to the finer details of playing. Like maybe the beautiful sound, maybe varying it in a certain way. And I just know what to do. And that's exactly the same way that I see Stochelo play guitar when he plays guitar, or Moses, or Martijn van Ittersen, or Pasquale Grasso. I see them, they know what they're good at, and they're doing that. And they're doing it as good as possible, which is extremely high level. On violin, I'm like that. I know what I'm good at, and I just try to do that thing that I'm good at as good as possible. Funny new stuff. I don't see any scenario where I can turn that off, actually.
But what is it that you're missing, do you think? Like, what's...
No, I'm not missing anything. If I just stop now and say, okay, it's going to be Stochelo... Because if I'm honest, my style is like Stochelo plus Pasquale Grasso. That is kind of my style, you know?
Okay.
It's a lot of Stochelo stuff, but there's some people flavors. If I accept that and only start working on, like, practicing like that.
Yeah.
So that means no new stuff.
Right.
Just working on stuff I already know. Then probably in 2 years, I will have reached the same level. But I don't want to. I mean, I don't want to. I want to learn new stuff.
Because I promised myself to write 10 books. I wrote 4 now. I'm going to write the 5th. And this year, 2 years, 2 books a year. And I have to transcribe lots of new stuff for every book. And I already know until book 9 what it's going to be. So, yeah, for the next 5 years, it won't happen. But, maybe after that, all the time. It's just...
So the different... Okay, so you said 9 out of 10 times you feel good. 1 out of 10 you feel great.
Yes.
So what's the difference there? Is it a fluidity? Is it like something where like you're just in the zone and everything's coming out easy and well timed? It's just all okay.
Everything connects. See, like I said, like when I play, I don't think. I only play what pops in my head. Right. The problem is because I'm practicing so many things, some things will pop into my head that don't fit with whatever I'm playing, or it's too many things pop into my head. And I'm playing too many notes.
These all sound like great problems to have from my viewpoint.
Yes, it's great and not great. Because when I hear Moses play, I'm basically hearing him play the same way every tune.
Right.
Which is not bad. It's not bad. And there's still a lot of variety there. But all great players like that. Like when I hear, Antoine Boyer has a certain concept of playing, right? Antoine Boyer is not the guy that plays bebop licks. It's not his thing. I promise you, if Antoine Boyer will start working on bebop phrases tomorrow, then he will start sounding worse for a time. Yeah. Because now he has to add this whole new thing. But he's not going to do that. Why would he do that? Antoine Boyer is a genius already, like he is. Like, he doesn't need to do that. Yeah. I also don't need to do it, right? I could stick with my style that I have, but I don't want to. I don't want to. I just love sitting down, transcribing, figuring out how to play it. True. I just love doing it, which is great for books. So
yeah, man. I mean, that's what a great thing to love.
So
Well, can I get your opinion really quick? I know we've been going on for a while, but so I've been considering doing like I don't know if it's a series or whatever, where I just talk to the camera about stuff related to practice. For example, like playing real music versus playing exercises, things like, how long should you practice every day? Because you hear this thing like all you need is 20 minutes a day and you can, learn whatever, which is nonsense. So I was thinking about doing something like that. Then I'm like, yeah, now I'm chasing, I didn't think I'd have any subscribers. Now I have a couple and I'm like, I want more. So
Of course you want more. Of course.
I don't want to get away from
what
the channel is, right? It's just a dude practicing. Like that's
but
all there is to see.
You can become a kind of institution in the sense because you're one of the first to do this. So it's very interesting. And I think you could only benefit from growing that.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, that's true.
I don't think it could distract you. Of course, if at one point it becomes like for me, at one point it was distracting. That's why I started the Discord and writing the books, because I want to get away from having to make content.
Yeah.
So if it becomes like that, like, okay, I promised every week I do this, keep it random.
Yeah.
But if you want to do it, because that's what I heard, you want to do it, you have this idea, then do it.
Yeah, since the first week I started the channel, I was like, I've got to have this list of other videos. So
why not? Yeah. That's why I do it. How I do it now. Right now, I don't feel any pressure anymore to make regular YouTube content. I just do it when I feel like it, when I think, hey, this could be fun.
Yeah. Seems like a much more sustainable way to go about it. So
it is, because I was getting not depressed, but fed up with making videos.
I'm sure, man.
But now it's fun.
It's emotional labor.
Now it's fun. Yeah, and now it's fun. And the videos I make now is for the books.
Yep.
But that's great because it's a product, but also it's stuff I want to practice. Mm-hmm. Because but YouTube was like, okay, I need another thing. Oh, let's do this solo, which I was not maybe interested in. I had to still do it, So yeah.
Well, thank you again for everything that you're making, man.
You're welcome.
It's game changing. Absolutely.
I hope so. So. And I'll see you in the Discord.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm sure I might have questions, and I'll put up some videos of me trying to play rhythm soon, so you guys can.
Yeah, I think that was a really nice conversation I had with him. Probably gonna do it in the future. That last point about making regular YouTube content is a concern that I think you should have as a creator. The pressure of having a schedule in which you have to make a certain format is something I can recommend against. I can recommend in the beginning to get the ball rolling, but at one point it's become a real grind, and it's not healthy for your sanity, for your mental health, and it also mess with your own progress as a musician, I think. So that's why I stopped doing that. Stopped making these regular content with a certain format. I started writing books, make a Discord, and that's much more fun. And also better, also for me as a musician. And the content I make on YouTube right now is like this. It's reaction content. It's content about certain concepts that I'm enthusiastic about, and I really enjoy that. And I really enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed it as well. And hopefully there will be more like it. And I will see you next time. Bye.